Okay, so let's get started. Welcome all. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is a super busy time of year, so thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about how you can be healthy naturally and build health from the root up. This is the most important time to talk about health. We tend to put our health on the back burner this time of year, and we rush through the holiday season, stressed to the max, and loaded up on sugar and sweet treats, and as you probably know, that depletes our immune system. This is the time of year we need to pay even closer attention to our health and do some things to be proactive against the colds and flu. This 4-part webinar series will empower you to take the reins and work towards prevention of not just colds and flu, but also chronic degenerative disease. So just a little bit about myself here for those of you that don't know me. I've been in the nutrition arena for about 11 years now. I'm a certified holistic health practitioner and integrative nutrition health coach. Basically what that means is that I am your guide on the side as you work towards implementing changes in your diet and lifestyle. Health coaches work in many arenas. They work in corporate America trying to keep the employees healthy so that it can reduce the costs of the employer's health plan. We work with insurance companies. Sometimes the insurance companies will offer plans where you can actually call and get help from a health coach. We also work hand in hand with doctors. If your doctor is in need to have you in a certain diet or make some changes to improve your blood sugar or maybe your cholesterol, we work to help the patient implement those and work hand in hand for accountability and making suggestions along the way. Another way that we work is through personal coaching. So it's always fun to work one-on-one with a client and take them from point A to point B. It's always very rewarding. And then we also do group coaching, which is also very fun. It's a wonderful dynamic of accountability and health turnarounds. So you really don't want to let that buddy down, and it's really amazing how those turnarounds happen. So I became very passionate about this field about 13 years ago when I became very ill. I'd fallen through the cracks of traditional medicine, and I just wasn't getting the answers that I needed. I became more and more sick as I traveled from one doctor to the next, trying to find the answers, the root cause, what was going on, and what was the solution. So basically, I would receive one pharmaceutical after another, which caused symptoms, and then of course I had to have another pharmaceutical to help with the symptoms that were being created by the previous pharmaceutical. So it was like a big snowball effect. Lucky for me, I have a very amazing, very persistent son. It took him 2 years to convince me. I was a super skeptic, but I finally relented because I really had nowhere else to turn, and I needed to take a more natural path. So he stuck with me, and together we turned my health around in a matter of about 10 months. It took a lot of hard work, but it was wonderful having my son by my side and having him actually coach me. It was very powerful. It was a very powerful experience, not only because of the health turnaround, but because I had a new understanding about the power of diet and nutrition, nutritional supplementation, and lifestyle. So in this webinar, you'll hear a similar story about a doctor with no belief in natural medicine. He turned his thinking around and was able to help his wife, who had come down with a chronic condition that traditional medicine wasn't helping, and he used complete natural nutrition. Okay, so just a couple of housekeeping items. I'm going to mute everyone during the presentation. Feel free to take any notes. We'll be recording this, so if you miss anything, there'll be a recording later that you can go back and check on. I'll open up at the end for questions. And then if you have something you'd like to ask a question about that might be private, feel free to enter that in the chat box, and I'll be happy to follow up with you after the webinar. I'll be providing some links. Actually, I've already entered them in the chat box, so you can check out those resources after the webinar tonight. So let's get started. Okay, in this 4-part series, you're going to learn, what a doctor discovered that took him from a super supplement skeptic to a super supplement supporter. You'll learn the core nutrients he used to heal his chronically ill wife and what he now recommends for everyone. You'll learn what to look for in a supplement and the products that I recommend my brand partner. In today's first session, we'll cover, number 1, the truth about why physicians are drug and disease-oriented, why you may not want to rely on doctors alone for your nutritional guidance. And then we'll hear the story of a remarkable health turnaround and what this lady used to heal. And I'll offer some shocking statistics that help to convert this supplement skeptic doctor to a true believer. So if you'll stay to the end of the webinar tonight, I'm going to be offering a free gift. It's a companion to this webinar. It's an ebook, What Your Doctor Wasn't Taught in Med School About Nutrition That You Really Need to Know. So physicians really are disease-oriented, and I have the utmost respect for doctors, but as important and as helpful as they are, the truth is they're disease-oriented. They study disease and they look for disease. They're pharmaceutically trained to treat disease, and in order to do so, they have to know their drugs. So, some of you may not know that the pharmaceuticals actually give megabucks to these medical schools, and this is how this whole all starts. They are trained through the pharmaceuticals to use these drugs. They learn the side effects, and they work carefully to balance the benefits against any potential danger. That makes sense. Physicians know their drugs and don't hesitate to prescribe them. A study estimates that in 1997, pharmacies filled more than 2.5 billion, that's billion with a B, retail prescriptions in the United States alone. The sale of prescription drugs has more than doubled in just the last 8 years. So the question becomes, who do you turn to when you want to protect your health and work towards prevention? If drugs were the answer, why is our population still experiencing an exploding epidemic of chronic degenerative diseases? The problem lies in the fact that the current philosophy in medicine is to attack disease. There is a movement called functional medicine. These are MDs and DOs and naturopaths that are actually working to get to the root cause and working with some natural modalities. But for the most part, we're still experiencing a sick care system where we're attacking disease. But it does make perfect sense to simply prevent disease and maintain our health rather than to try and regain it after it's been lost. So that would be like closing the barn door after the horses were already out, right? So prevention of disease should be the first order of business for any physician, but oftentimes it's not. And this leaves us in a situation where we need to become educated on how to build our health and avoid disease. Because doctors weren't taught how to build health using natural nutrition, it means that we have to learn it ourselves. But where do we go when we want to learn about the best way to prevent disease and protect our health? And the question is your doctor providing you with this information? Well, chances are they're not. This is a pretty important statistic. Less than 6% of doctors get any kind of formal education in nutrition. They may get a few hours in nutrition, and that's about it. It's starting to turn around a bit, but for the most part, we're still dealing with the same problem. And few physicians receive any training in regard to nutritional supplementation. So if you were to go to your doctor and ask if you should take a multivitamin or if you needed a targeted solution of some point, what that might be, chances are they're not going to be able to answer those questions. Until recently, modern medicine has ignored the link between diet and disease and environment. Scientists focused on finding the magic bullets that would wipe disease off the planet. There's no doubt that we've had some very incredible advancements in science that have vastly improved our health. Unfortunately, these advancements have created a false sense of security that no matter how serious these diseases are, a cure is right around the corner. Well, by the end of World War II, people who were concerned about nutrition and health were considered to be health nuts. So the fast food restaurants were coming on strong, offering highly processed, high-fat fare, and it was, of course, all the rage, and pretty much is today. Hamburgers, chicken nuggets, and French fries were in, fresh fruits and vegetables were out. Diet was considered so unimportant that few medical schools even offered courses in nutrition. Although doctors offered lip service to eating a well-balanced diet, few understand what that actually meant. They may talk about the food pyramid, although that's another whole story. It's pretty much economically based through the government. But if they were talking about the food pyramid, they weren't able to take someone who had chronic disease and talk to them about what they needed in their diet or what they might need in the way of supplementation. So if you've watched any old movies, you may have seen this ad. This is a Camel's ad. So basically, this is a good picture of how the American public and doctors become snookered by these big giants, the cigarette industry. So these were obviously unhealthy habits, and we didn't know the full ramifications until much later. So at the same time, despite our superior medical knowledge, heart disease and cancer were dramatically increasing in the developed world, and a small group of researchers began to wonder why. So what they found was pretty astounding. The people who lived in poorer countries, where the diet was rich in whole grains and unprocessed fruits and vegetables, had measurably lower rates of cancer and heart disease than in wealthier countries. So if we really think about it, is that very surprising? Probably not. In the beginning, many mainstream scientists dismissed these findings as pure coincidence, or that some populations may be genetically prone to develop different diseases. But when more thoughtful scientists began to take a closer look at these studies, they found that certain foods appeared to be protective against disease. Surprise, surprise. So a little bit about genetics. Functional medicine talks about how genetics is what loads the gun, but diet, lifestyle, and environment is what pulls the trigger. So genetics are not our destiny. There was no denying that these people in these other countries who ate an abundance of plant foods were healthier and lived longer than the people who ate the traditional Western diet. Unfortunately, back then, as is the case today, economics takes priority over science or people's well-being. This has kept the focus on cures and not prevention. Conventional drug-oriented medicine may help us live longer, but will it help us live better? So the idea is here that we want to close the gap between our age span and our health span. Age span being the number of years that we live, and the health span being the number of years that we live healthfully. Obviously, it's going to be very beneficial for us the closer we can close that gap. So you want to learn the basics of building health through nutrition. That's why this webinar is so very important. Learning about the basics of building and maintaining health through natural nutrition can have amazing, life-changing results, like the ones that I experienced myself. And the fact is, your doctor is unlikely to be able to help you on this subject. Unfortunately, nutrition is a massive subject, and it could easily take years and years for us to learn the ins and outs. The reality is that we don't have time to wait. The critically important information in this webinar series will give you a core understanding of what you need to know about vitamins and supplementation and, of course, food. This will enable you to become proactive in preserving the health that you do have. So here are some important points to keep in mind. Number one, drugs and surgery alone don't cure diseases that kill most Americans. Number two, your body can repair and renew itself almost perfectly if given the right tools, the nutrients it needs to do so. Number three, genes do not determine disease on their own. We just talked about that. So here is the story of the converted doctor. Dr. Ray Strand, author of the book, What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine May Be Killing You, used to curl his toes when his patients would ask if they should be taking nutritional supplements. He used all the patented answers. Oh, they're just snake oil. Vitamins just make for expensive urine. And you can get all the required nutrients by eating the right foods. Well, if his patients persisted, he just told them, well, go ahead and take them. They're not going to help anyway. Just buy the cheapest ones you can get. Maybe you've heard some of these same comments from your physician. So let's take a quick poll. The question is, has your doctor or medical professional ever told you vitamins were not effective? Okay, there you go. It's just a quick yes or no. Okay, thank you so much for your answers. I'd be interesting to hear more about the comments that you received later on in the chat box. Here's the results. There you go. All right, so moving on. So for the first 23 years of Dr. Strand's clinical practice, he simply did not believe in nutritional supplements. After several years, however, he has reconsidered his position based on recent studies published in peer-reviewed medical journals, and what he found was so astonishing that he has changed the entire course of his medical practice. You could say he's been converted. So why aren't doctors responding in this way? Well, we talked about the functional medicine docs, and they truly are responding in a big way. But for the most part, we're still dealing with that sick care health system that we have. To start, one of the reasons might be that physicians need to be skeptical in order to protect their patients against any schemes or products that could be harmful to their health. That makes sense. Another important reason is physicians must rely on scientific research studies conducted through double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials, and that is the gold standard in clinical medicine studies. And this is the most effective evidence available. Many physicians seem content to allow the pharmaceutical companies to determine new therapies as they develop new drugs. But if we're talking about prevention, it is our own bodies that are the best defense against developing disease, not drugs. The unfortunate reality is that public health is notoriously unprofitable. People don't make a profit preventing disease. They make a profit through medicine, pharmaceuticals, treating critical advanced stages of disease. The number one cause of bankruptcy in this country is medical bankruptcy. As we know, cancer is big, big business, and people, for the modalities that they're receiving, the medicines, the surgeries, and so forth, it is putting them into bankruptcy. So if drugs aren't the solution, then what is? Well, Dr. Strand's wife became chronically ill with what they later learned was fibromyalgia. He became frustrated as a doctor that he couldn't even help his own wife. He was just another husband looking on helplessly as his wife's health deteriorated. When his wife's friend brought a collection of vitamin supplements to the house the next day, it included nutrients like vitamin E, vitamin C, and beta-carotene that actually protect the body against harmful effects of oxidation. That's an important word, and we'll talk more about that. His wife Liz eagerly swallowed them and downed a few health drinks as well. To his amazement, within 3 days, it was obvious she was getting better. For me, it was 10 days, and I knew that there was a change coming. He was happy for her, but boy, was he confused. As subsequent days passed, Liz gained more and more energy and strength and even stayed up later in the evenings. After 3 weeks of faithfully swallowing many pills and consuming those strange-looking drinks, Liz felt so good that she stopped taking the steroids and nebulizer treatments. Now, just a word of caution here. Liz was able to do that because obviously Dr. Strand was a doctor, and we don't advocate that anyone discontinue any of their pharmaceuticals, but that is something that we can work hand in hand with a doctor on. So 3 months passed, all bringing gradual improvement, and his wife Liz never looked back. That was the case for me as well. So what happened? Dr. Strand was dumbfounded. It must be a miracle. If he had not been an eyewitness to this transformation, he never would have believed it. Was it possible that some weird vitamins had restored his wife's health when all of the medical expertise and medicines couldn't help? So he decided to run his own clinical trial. Dr. Strand was excited and amazed, but still optimistically cautious. He went through his records to find 5 of his worst fibromyalgia patients and asked them to visit him in his office. He shared Liz's story with all of them and suggested they consider taking nutritional supplements. He told each patient that he had no idea whether this alternative treatment would help, but it was certainly worth a try. So typical fibromyalgia sufferers experience many symptoms, and they can become very despondent. So each of his 5 subjects were very eager to get started. After a period of time ranging from 3 to 6 months, without exception, each patient reported improvements after taking the vitamin supplements. So Dr. Strand was excited, but still he was optimistically cautious. While browsing through a bookstore, he saw a book by Dr. Kenneth Cooper called The Antioxidant Revolution. And here's that word oxidant in there, only this time it's antioxidant. Dr. Cooper explained a process called oxidative stress, which he indicates was the underlying cause of chronic degenerative diseases. This is important here. Oxidative stress is right up there with inflammation, and together these are causing all chronic degenerative diseases. So Dr. Strand devoured the book. When you understand the tremendous damage that oxidative stress inflicts during normal daily life on the body, you realize how important it is to optimize your own natural defense system. And it's not that hard. Your life and your health depend on it. Through his research, Dr. Strand learned that the strongest defense against these diseases is our body's own natural antioxidant and immune systems. These are far superior to any drugs he could have prescribed. He concluded after much study that using nutritional supplementation on patients is not alternative medicine, but it is instead complementary medicine. It complements traditional medicine. Nutritional supplement is not about eradicating disease, it is about promoting vibrant health. He now strongly believes that there are significant health benefits in taking high quality, and I stress high quality nutritional supplements, even if you're in excellent health. Put simply, the basic health benefits of nutritional supplements are an enhanced immune system, we talked about that, an enhanced antioxidant defense system, we talked about that, a decreased risk of coronary artery disease, which is one of the #1 killers, a decreased risk of stroke and cancer, a decreased risk of arthritis, macular degeneration, and cataracts. And the reason that why Dr. Strand became so enamored with this whole philosophy of vitamin supplementation is because he realized that we had such a poor quality diet here in the United States. As Dr. Strand reflected on his first years of medical practice, he clearly remembered his own bias against nutritional supplements. He even remembers telling his patients that they could get everything they need from their food if they would just eat a healthy diet. Here are some shocking statistics that made him realize the need for supplementation. Approximately 40% of our calories in the typical American diet, we call it the SAD diet, the standard American diet, come from unhealthy fat. 17% of the population do not eat any vegetables. That's hard to believe. And only 10% of the population meet the USDA guideline of eating a minimum of 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And the USDA guideline is much lower than what I would recommend. So the 5 servings is a bare minimum. So this is an important picture here. Do you know that most of us today are suffering from certain dangerous diet deficiencies? They cannot be remedied until the depleted soils from which our foods come from are brought into a proper mineral balance. I have a colleague who just won a prestigious award in this area of science in her studies around how to balance these soils that are so depleted. This is a very important part of science right now. The alarming fact is that foods, fruits, and vegetables and grains are now being raised on millions of acres of land that no longer contain enough essential minerals. We are starving no matter how much we eat. And understand, when we say essential minerals, those are the ones that our body doesn't produce. We have to get that through diet or supplementation. Plants cannot create minerals. They must absorb them from the soil. And likewise, we can't absorb nutrients from food that hasn't received those minerals from the soil. So it's like a big snowballing effect. And here, and if our soils do not have these minerals, our plants will not have them either. It is a fact that our food is significantly deficient in vital nutrients. I love this picture. She looks so vibrant, doesn't she? This is why eating a healthy diet just makes sense, as well as supplementing your diet to fill in the gaps with nutritional supplements. So what do we look for when we're looking for a high quality supplement? So here's just a quick review. We'll go into more detail in the next session, but for the most part, the final product, not just the raw materials, has to be scientifically tested and approved. Some companies do an okay job in testing the raw materials, but very few companies will ever test the final product to find out if those nutrients are working together, if they're there in the right amounts, and if they're going to be efficacious for the people who are taking them. Actual testing of the finished product is the most crucial part of clinical testing. This allows a manufacturer to evaluate if the vitamins and its components actually work together as a whole. And the sad thing is, this is also the most expensive part, and because of that, manufacturers leave that piece out. Companies need to go through protocols and also need the results studied and published by scientific and scholastic journals for the results to be considered substantial. The sad thing is that many supplement manufacturers test the raw materials individually, but not the actual finished product. So they might test, a raw ingredient here or there, but they're not testing how all of that product comes together as a whole. They also do their own backyard testing. They don't send out to third-party testers or labs, and they're using their own chemists, and they borrow from previously established studies. So they may borrow science from another company and put it on their product when in fact the study that they're using doesn't even talk about their specific product and how it's put together. So imagine how prone to bias all of this is. But do you know why thousands of them can get away with it? It's because the FDA does not review supplements before they are marketed. If the Food and Drug Authority, the FDA, reviewed what manufacturers claimed, it would be easier to separate the good from the bad and the synthetic from the natural. And as we know, natural substances are used by the body. It can be assimilated and used to build healthy cells. Synthetic, for the most part, cannot be absorbed and will not be used and actually can be detrimental. I want to reveal important information some vitamin manufacturers don't want you to know. Most people aren't aware of it, but the ingredients of most vitamins and supplements are produced with little or no supervision. You have no guarantee about the purity or the quality of the raw ingredients. Now you may be wondering, Where do we find a product that is guaranteed, uses gold standard research, their own research on their finished products, and fits these stringent standards? Well, I'm proud to say that my brand partner is just that. It is a natural line of nutritional supplements that fits this criteria, and the company's name is Shaklee. Shaklee truly is an incredible company. They do stand up to all of these standards. This is a picture of Dr. Forrest C. Shaklee and his two sons as they work together in the business. Dr. Shaklee actually created the first vitamin supplement over 100 years ago. It's called Vitalized Minerals. So Shaklee also puts their products through an incredibly stringent screening process that surpasses even the pharmaceutical standards of the United States Pharmacopoeia. You might find the USP label on some supplements, and basically what that's telling you is that it is substandard to the screening and the science that goes into the Shaklee products. So Shaklee's foundation regimens, there are 3. We have the Vitalizing Plan, the Life Plan, which is the Premier Plan, and the Essentials Plan, all great places to start. So let's start with Shaklee's Premier Supplement Pack. The best, most comprehensive nutritional system in the world, and we'll talk in a minute about why we can say that and the proof that we have. Life Plan includes 30 days of the Life Energizing Shake and then the Life Strip. Let's start with the Life Plan Shake. This shake will give you more energy than you can handle. It contains high quality protein, 16 grams, 24 if it's made as directed, and it's ultra pure plant-based non-GMO protein. You'll feel a noticeable boost of energy throughout the day. Now I want to address this non-GMO thing. When you're taking in a protein supplement, you have to understand that the GMO in any product lives in the protein. So it becomes very important that if you're going to start pounding protein in your diet, that those proteins, whether it comes from food or whether it comes from a supplement like this, have to be non-GMO, or you're adding all of those into your body. LifeShake also offers a precise ratio of the 9 essential amino acids you require, ensuring that you have a complete protein. And again, essential means that our body's not going to make it. We have to go find it. Finding a non-GMO formulation is also very difficult. Even an FDA scientist has come out to question the use of genetically modified foods. This is just another reason why I believe in Shaklee so strongly. They did not cave when other companies were using GMO protein like the others. And another benefit of using the Life Shake is that it helps to manage our weight. It's powered by the amino acid leucine. Shaklee built on what they learned with their 180 weight management shake and made the smart decision to add the amino acid leucine to the Life Shake. And one thing I might add about the leucine is as we age, we can end up in a situation called sarcopenia, which means that we are losing our lean muscle mass. And I don't know about you, but I want to stay nice and strong as I age to keep my balance and make sure that I stay strong. So leucine helps you to lose the inches while preserving lean muscle. And as we know, the lean muscle is going to keep our metabolism strong so that we will achieve a healthier weight sooner and be able to maintain that. The Life Shake can also provide digestive and immune support. It includes pre- and probiotics. Unlike other shakes on the market, Shaklee scientists added a patented pre- and probiotic in the formulation. This gives you 1 billion CFUs or units of probiotics to support your digestive and immune health. Unfortunately, most of our diets don't have enough of these types of foods that build a healthy flora, the fermented foods and so forth. The formula that Shaklee put into the Life Shake is 5 times more effective in populating the bowel with healthy microbes than lactobacillus and bifidobacterium alone. The Life Shake can also increase cardio and cognitive health, and it includes omega-3 fatty acids. You've probably heard a lot about the omega fatty acids. We can get that through our fatty fish like salmons and so forth. So in the shake, you will find what's called ALA, alpha-linoleic acid, which is part of the essential omega-3 family. Interestingly, in the non-soy version, they've sourced a new protein called Sacha inchi from the upper Amazon in Peru. It contains omega-3 in it naturally. The soy blend is also an excellent source of ALA, and that one comes from flaxseed. So it's not always what's in the product that matters, it's what's not in it that's also very important. So Life Shake is gluten-free, lactose-free, and has no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or preservatives. You will never find artificial flavors, sweeteners, or preservatives in Shaklee products. And very importantly, it's low glycemic and kosher. So what does low glycemic mean? When you're eating a meal, you want the meal as it comes together, or the shake as you eat it, to not spike your blood sugar. When we're constantly spiking our blood sugar, we can end up with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, and we certainly don't want that. And as we age, naturally, our blood sugar can go up 10 points without even doing anything to influence that. So we have to be very careful. This is my buddy, Dr. Richard Brous. He is actually my personal natural doctor. He is an amazing man, chiropractor, and an amazing clinical nutritionist. So he also recommends Life Shakes to his patients, and he calls it more than just a protein because it's so well balanced. He calls it a supplemental ration. He has patients recovering from cancer, and it's truly the only thing that they can actually handle. A lot of times they're going through chemo, and they just can't tolerate a lot of foods, but the Life Shake is very well taken in, and it satisfies them. And again, when we're talking about preserving that lean muscle, this is very important for these cancer patients. And then there's the Life Strip. Every Life Strip delivers pure and potent vitamins, minerals, omega-3 fatty acids, polyphenols, antioxidants, and phytonutrients to help create the foundation for a longer, healthier life. That's a mouthful. So we've talked about the vitamins and the minerals and the omega-3 fats. The polyphenols in the Life Shake are going to be found in the Vivix, which are the burgundy gels on the left-hand side of that strip there. Two ways that we're getting those polyphenols. One is from resveratrol, and the other piece is the muscadine grape, which makes this Vivix 10 times more effective in against cellular aging than just the resveratrol alone. Now, the antioxidants are going to be present in the multivitamin, and of course the phytonutrients are going to be nutrients that come from foods. Here's a quick review of the supplement and what's in it. Okay, so we talked about the Vivix on the left there. These are the polyphenols to slow aging at the cellular level. And of course, you know, we want to be about slowing that aging of our cells, because that means that we ourselves, what we see in the mirror, is also aging. So Omega Guard is omega-3s for heart and brain health. And Vital D is going to be the two brightly colored tablets there towards the right. This is a multivitamin for complete nutrition and some joint health as well. And then the one on the last tablet on the right, the lighter yellow, is the B+C complex for immune health and energy. And the interesting thing about this is, with your water-soluble vitamins like B and C, there's usually only like a 2-hour coverage. But with the B+C complex, it's a sustained release. So you're getting an entire 12 hours of coverage throughout the day. So that really does help when we're talking about our energy and our immune health. A couple quick notes about vitamin B. I have a mentor who says that B complex turns any woman into Mother Teresa. So it's the hormones, it's the energy, and it's also for your blood sugar control as well. So I talked a little bit earlier about the science that we had to prove that these products actually work. The study was called the Landmark Study. About 11 years ago, our CEO, new on board, was observing that the Shaklee population had amazing health. But what he realized is that he had nothing to prove why that happened. So he approached UC Berkeley, talked to Dr. Gladys Block about doing this study. No other company had ever done a long-term supplement study because they really didn't want to put their reputation on the line for fear of, having to publish some pretty awful results. So Roger, knowing full well that the Shaklee population would hold up to scrutiny, talked to Dr. Block about doing the study, and she said, fine, I will do the study, but understand that no matter what the outcome is, I will be publishing it. So Roger didn't flinch. He just said, go ahead. And we launched the Landmark Study. What we found was that the Shaklee population had markedly better health than the non-supplement users. There were actually three groups. One was a non-supplement user, one was a group that took maybe a grocery store type vitamin, and the other one was the Shaklee group. The Shaklee group was actually 10 years older on average than the other two. The results were astounding. So it was 11% lower cholesterol ratios in the Shaklee group. This is the key marker for cardiovascular health. 33% lower levels of triglycerides, which is a critical biomarker for heart health. 36% lower levels of homocysteine, which is an indicator of brain and cognitive health, which we're all concerned about. Last but not least, an astounding 59% lower level of C-reactive protein, which is a key biomarker for long-term biological stress. And my friends, this is where it's at. If you're not getting this test, this is one that you will want to get, C-reactive protein. This is going to be measuring your inflammation and your biological stress. And if your levels are high, we need to talk. 59% lower in the Shaklee population, just incredible. So I want you to understand that I actually use these products myself, and I have experienced amazing, amazing health from using them. This is not something I'm just talking about. Truly, these products make tomorrow amazing, and these are your three plans: Vitalizing Plan, Life Plan, and the Essentials Plan. So I have put the link to my store in the chat box. Feel free to check it out. I would be happy to help you with any questions that you have. If you're needing to know what regimen might be best for you, I would suggest, I also have a link in there to my personal website for the Health Print. The Health Print is a personalized assessment. It's a quick 5-minute, 20 questions. It will shoot you back the results, and I'll get them, and then we can talk by phone or by email or whatever, and go over those, and then you've got a place to start. So I would love to friend you on Facebook. Reach out to me. I've put the link to my personal page there, as well as my group page. And then if you would be so kind, if you could share one little nugget that you took away from this webinar on my page or my group or my personal profile, I would love that. Just one little thing that maybe you can implement now that will help you with your healthier path to a healthier life. And then here I also have put the link to my hub site, which is coachdebbiemiller.com. That's also in there. You can click there and look around. This is kind of where I'm accumulating all things coaching. So I've got my blog there. I've got my events, some wonderful articles that you'll see. And then if you'd like to talk individually, please post your phone number and the best time to get hold of you in the chat box, and I will be happy to get back with you. An email works as well. Again, if it's private, we can talk and I will follow up with you later. So in next week's session, we're going to learn about the importance of supplementing with protein and amino acids, and we'll delve into that a little deeper. We'll talk about the importance of a healthy flora for good digestion and a better health. And we'll talk about telomeres and what they are and why they matter. I am so thoroughly excited. The lady who did all of the groundbreaking research in telomeres and telomerase is on our Shaklee Medical Advisory Board. So we've launched a couple of studies which have come out, and we've got a couple more coming. If that's something you want to learn more about, come back next week and we'll talk more. And of course, we're going to talk about the Shaklee Life Strip again and why it's so special. We'll go into a little bit more detail and how that might be able to help you specifically with your health. And again, here's my free ebook that I'm offering. You'll be able to catch the link again in the chat box. Feel free to grab that. And I'd love to chat with you further about this. So thank you so much for coming, everyone. I appreciate your taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us tonight. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them in the chat box.